Hello and welcome to our new gameplay feature video for the Repopulation featuring items, fittings, and repairing. One of the many different things about the Repopulation compared to other traditional MMOs is the fact that we have no levels. Instead of killing enemies or completing quests for experience, you simply use a skill in game to increase the value over time. So if you wanted to get better in combat, you would use your armor of choice and weapon of choice in combat, and over time your skill would increase. Additional abilities and options would be opened up to you from doing so. On the flip side, if you simply wanted to be a crafter, you would work on crafting certain recipes to improve your crafting skill and also your proficiency with that recipe. Where skills, items, and what we call fittings come into play is how our system is set up to handle item progression. In a typical MMO, you might see a slightly better sword every 3 or 4 levels with better stats. Another issue that we see is that you might like how that piece of armor looks on you, but another piece of armor has the stats you need, so you choose to go with the piece of armor with the better stats. Our system allows you to use the piece of armor you like that is the most appealing to you visually, and also place stats on it as you see fit. We use what we call fittings, which are very similar to most socket systems you see in other MMOs or single-player games. The major difference in our system is that all weapons and armor are considered base shells that provide a visual reference and a certain design to separate them from other weapons and armors out there, such as if it's light or medium armor, or in the case of weapons, a rifle and a shotgun, which are used in different situations and scenarios. These shell items are offered to you as soon as you get in the game and could technically be used for the rest of the game. Shell items don't provide any functional differences beyond perhaps the initial starting values for a pistol versus a revolver. The different pistol models provide no differences beyond looks, and the same with all medium-style armors that would be available. We're now going to look at two items we have in our character sheet, a pistol and a composite vest. We're going to right-click on and pull up the information sheets. You should notice that we have some information for both the composite vest and the pistol. We have an armor type and damage mitigation for the composite vest, and for the pistol, base damage, DPS type, attack speed, damage penetration, accuracy, and range. When we hover over the item, we'll get some information in the tooltip in the bottom right, and the complete information in the information window. Now we're going to assign these sockets here. We're going to assign an A socket here, an A socket there, and then finally an F socket. Then we're going to drag the fittings we have over on the left into those sockets. So we're going to take this A fitting here, drop that in there for 10.6, drop that next one in there for 23. You should notice the difference in stat value. That one is a C3 grade, that one is a B2 grade. The B2 grade has a higher stat value for damage reduction compared to the C3. So the B2 is actually a better fitting. You also notice that we have a level value. So this level has a 0 and this level has 2. It also increases the point value. In order to actually use these fittings, you'll need to be higher skilled in that armor type. So we're going to actually drag that lower level one in there and drop it in place. And then we're going to drag these in over there as well. Instead of dropping them in the socket, we're going to drop them right on the piece of armor to get them in place and used on the piece of armor there. You should notice once we're done, we have all of the stats now associated with that armor. Another important piece when looking at fittings are we have unbalanced fittings. So this one is geared more towards medium penetration for a weapon, and that one is balanced. So this allows us to choose which kind of fittings we want. So we're going to actually drag that one in there and go ahead and drag another one over there as well. You should notice that now that we have a slightly higher medium penetration compared to the rest of the values that we have in place. You can also replace a fitting by dragging it over top of another fitting. Stats have been updated with the new fitting we just dragged in place. Finally, we're going to drag 3 final fittings to this pistol, starting with attack speed, then grab the accuracy, then finally we're going to grab the aggro update. There's also unbalanced options such as decreasing accuracy to improve damage. So a lot of these sockets will have additional fittings, and you'll have an option between 2 to 4 to 5 different fittings you can drag in the socket based on your need. And let's look at the condition on the fitting. So we're going to right click on the handgun balance fitting and notice that we have some minor and major damage. We're going to double click on the repair kit in our inventory and hover over the fitting and left click, and it should repair it. The minor and major damage will go down along with the condition. If the condition reaches 0%, the fitting in this example would go down from a B4 to a B3, decreasing the stats for that fitting. Now we're going to double click on the repair kit and click on the pistol itself to repair all fittings inside the pistol. You should notice that the handgun is now perfectly fine with no damage, but the condition has been reduced down to 92%. Since the fittings are not bind on pickup or bind on equip, in order to remove them from the economy, the fittings had to be slowly damaged over time. So using the fitting in combat, the fitting for the armor, for the fitting for the weapon will be slowly deteriorating the minor and major damage, and if you don't repair it, it'll even reduce even quicker. So eventually you'll go from a higher grade fitting to a lower grade fitting and need to get rid of it. Thank you for checking out this gameplay video featuring fittings. You may visit us at www.therepopulation.com, and we're currently taking alpha signups for early testing in June. Thanks, everybody.